I remember a quote from Ramana Maharishi, which says that what is not destined to happen will not happen. Try as you may. And what is destined to happen will happen. Do what you want to stop it. So, the best course is to remain silent. Because in silence, there is a subtle surrender to the natural flow of things as they happen. I'll just share one incident with you, which happened to me. This was a time when I was working in an organization in Delhi. So they decided to send me to Mumbai for training. So I was a new joinee. They decided to send me to training. So I went there, and they gave me an accommodation, which was quite a decent place. And I was quite happy over there. Now, first day was excellent. I I was roaming around in the city and did my training and came back. The next day, the caretaker told me that some very important person is going to come. So we are going to shift you to the living room, and we'll make arrangement for you on the couch. Now, the couch is quite big. You will easily fit in and everything. But I said, how dare he do this to me? I said, I'm a so-and-so person in the organization. How can I be treated like this? So I called up my father. I said, please arrange some accommodation for me because such and such is the case. So my dad said, okay, I will make the arrangement. So there was a guest house somewhere in Bandra in Mumbai. And he told me to go there and I will be taken care of. So I was quite happy, so I paid all the bills, and I told them that now I'm leaving. Okay, so far so good. So I went to that guest house and they gave me a room. Now this room was in such a terrible condition. The carpet was wet inside the room. The carpet was wet. And the bathroom was in such a condition that, it must not have been opened for at least 10 years. That's what I assumed, because the whole thing was coming down. It was so horrible. It was smelling. It was awful. And, I was really taken aback. So I told that caretaker over there in that guest house that please arrange something better. He said, no, right now we don't have any room. This is the only room available. So somehow I spent time there. I didn't get sleep the entire night, but somehow I spent the time. And next day I attended my next day's training. Then I came back again and the caretaker said, sir, there is a slight problem. I said, what? He said, some important person is going to come. So this is our VIP room and we are going to shift you to the ordinary room.
No.
And then I was thinking, oh my God, why did I leave that place? The couch would have been much more comfortable than this. So, as they say, man proposes, God disposes.
I have a story
But
to
that
share.
was a learning lesson. And it somehow brought an understanding that sometimes just going with the natural flow is the solution. Because then the thinking mind is not jumping to abrupt conclusions about things. So you see, we keep ourselves open to all possibilities, to what is. And that itself makes life peaceful. The more we try to alter things, control things, manipulate them according to our wishes, the more resistance we face. I remember there was this girl. She was um, about to get married, and she was facing quite a tough time in her job. Uh, as in that she was quite ambitious, and uh, she wanted to settle down, have a family and everything. But at the same time, she was deep into spiritual seeking as well. So she said, she told me that I cannot balance the two. I cannot balance my spiritual life and my family life. Like, how do I choose between the one? So she says that I feel torn. I feel pulled by two different directions. And my fiance, who I'm going to marry, he does not have spiritual inclinations. So I told her that first of all, one should sit and examine as to what one really wants. There are times when certain situations require attention, certain situations related to money, family responsibilities, they require attention. Now, if you are a householder, if you have a family, then it is naturally that your spiritual practice is not apart from the duties towards your family. Yeah. And this is precisely what Ramana Maharishi says. He says that a true seeker will find his duties, doing his duties selflessly as a spiritual practice. So the world of spirituality and the material world are actually not two. They appear to be two in separation, but they're actually not true. And it is the flow of life which itself brings this understanding to us without we trying to intervene in things and trying to change things. That only creates more and more suffering.
I have a story to share with you.
Sure.
Um, ex-
Let's do one thing, Vishal. Let's just sit in meditation for some time. Then you can share the story with me, because some other people are also connected on YouTube. So I think it'll be better for us. So let's just spend a couple of minutes in silence, and then we'll do the question answers and sharing if you have one.
Yep.
Just sure. You can open your eyes now. Okay, Vishal, you wanted to share something?
Yes,
Yes.
it was a coincidence when you said in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
come what may, if it is not destined to happen, it won't happen. So I was excited about joining this session last week on your Sunday morning. And I was driving my family to the airport to go to India. I had plenty of time to come back and make it. So I was excited about, joining the session, solitude and all that. For various reasons, they missed their flight. And why they missed their flight was completely out of our control. So I dropped them. I realized that they had to have the old passport. So I came home, went back. It still didn't work, etc. And I was watching a video of Jiddu Krishnamurti, and I saw this realization in me. That's why I'm sharing this. Through this whole process of them missing the flight, all the drama that ensued and whatnot, I did feel the stress building up, but you immediately go into a watchful mode. You start witnessing all of that, right? And there's no resistance. I was not giving any resistance to it. So it all kind of quickly kind of burned away, calmed the family down. They finally made it safely, in back home, etc. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and that's when I realized through this experience, there were people who were unkind to us at the airport, etc. But when you're in so much of a witness mode, none of that really affects you. You don't take that burden. And just now I realized that, I have memory of what all happened, but I don't have any burden of anything that happened. And this is the first time I think I've realized what Jiddu Krishnamurti always talks about, which is, the whole psychology of fear and conflict. And you just remain in witness mode and you use the energy of that emotion and whatnot. So it was remarkable to watch all
That
that.
that is true. And Jiddu Krishnamurti, he says that we never see things in a fresh perspective, with a new perspective. We always superimpose the past onto what is happening right now. And that is the cause of our trouble. And of course, when you are in that situation, this building up of stress and anxiety, all that is very natural. That's a natural reaction of the biological organism. But what happens when you understand that you are not the doer and things are simply happening? Then that dialogue never gets, it never expands in time. There won't be any dialogue. Oh, how stupid I can be. Why did I forget the passports? I should have been more careful. I should have done this. I should have done that. It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And, from our limited consciousness, we may think that, we may label it. No, we may say that, oh, that was an unfortunate incident. But from the broader perspective, it may be entirely something else. Like, Ramesh Balsekar gives a very good example that if you observe the cells of an organism, if you go under the microscope and observe the cell, watch at the level of, at that level, what you will see is great violence happening. One cell eating up another, and they are fighting. So from that perspective, it may seem that it's a very violent place, but that violence at that level is actually contributing to the harmony at the level of the organism.
Very interesting.
Yes. So, we can never know why things happen the way things happen. All the human object can do is marvel at the creation of God. These are the words of Master Eckhart.
Yeah.
So, anyone wants to ask a question or share anything, please feel free to. You can raise your hand and I will unmute you. Yes, Shravanti.
Exactly 10 o'clock, I just woke up from somebody's home and rushed to my home to attend session. So I wonder, always calm, or you also do some things fast, or always slow? I just want to know.
That depends on the situation. Sometimes I'm fast. Sometimes I'm, restless also. See, the thing is that the human conditioning does not allow us to be peaceful all the time. It does not, right? So there are moments, like as Vishal was mentioning right now, that his flight, his family missed the flight. So if I was in that situation, even I would have been anxious. Even I would have been a little upset. But you see, what happens is that what happens in the moment never becomes our story. We don't create any negative dialogue about ourselves. Oh, why did I do this? Why am I not calm enough? Why am I not cool enough? I experience all emotions. Sometimes I'm angry also. And sometimes I'm upset also. Sometimes I'm sad also. See, we cannot stop the flow of emotions because that has been designed by the creator into the biological organism. So the organism will experience all emotions. And this whole message is not about trying to stop or change anything. This whole message is about accepting oneself the way they are, with all their flaws, the way creator has intended us to be, right? Because the imperfections are also a part of the creator's perfect plan. Why did God create imperfections? They are there for a reason, so that life can happen. So sometimes we sometimes we meet rude people, sometimes we meet pleasant people, and sometimes these incidents, they invoke different emotions within us. But when there is a recognition that behind each mind body organism, it is the same consciousness that operates through everyone, there can be no hatred, malice, jealousy, or ill will towards anyone. There can be no resentment towards anyone. And that is what gives the ultimate peace.
Yes.
Okay?
Living in the present is actually very peaceful.
Of course. And the best way to live in the present is to realize that even you are not in control of that.
Yes.
Even you are not in control of whether you will be able to live in present or not. So,
Yes.
you surrender. The total surrender means surrendering to the divinity the way you are. And, the thought is that, Lord, change me. If any change is required, I leave it to you. Whatever change you want to bring within me, bring. It is you who is in charge, not me. So that itself, this acceptance itself brings a peace. That is why we say that surrender is not a personal action. The ego can never surrender. Ego is not designed to surrender. The ego only comes to an understanding, which is not a personal understanding. And the understanding is there is no me. There is no doer. So, if you say that I have accepted it, that means there is no acceptance. Or if you say that I have not accepted it, even then there is no acceptance. So you see, there cannot be any answer to that question from the ego. Okay. So any more questions? Anybody? Yeah, okay. Yes, Vishal.
Maybe just one perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Over time, as you meditate, the mind starts to calm down. The momentum of the mind slows. And slowly you start understanding the awareness in the meditation. And you start becoming more and more aware into your day-to-day life. You bring that awareness into that. When you progress to a point where you're able to maintain the awareness in every situation, at that point in time, what is the role of meditation? Is it necessary? Does that help, etc.?
Now, you see, the meditation can be just an active, then meditation can just become an activity, It is never done with the concern that, one has to reach a state or maintain something. You're getting me? So, of course, any practice, it may not be sitting in silence. It can be any practice, right? You can walk and, just be with yourself. The point is to just bring attention inwards. Once the attention comes inwards, then you start experiencing a place of bliss, calm, which is your own presence, right? And this presence increases, as you mentioned. So yes, one can practice, but there is one more thing, that life itself, the flow of life itself becomes a living meditation once the presence is recognized. Because although I do meditate as a daily practice, but it is never with any intention. It has just become a habit now that I get up in the morning, I meditate for half an hour, and then I go about my usual work. But the state is then maintained throughout the day, throughout that watchfulness, the witnessing that you were mentioning, that keeps, I won't say alert, but that keeps you aware of the actions. So whatever emotions or thoughts or feelings or sensations, whatever is coming up, so naturally then there is no resistance. So the life itself becomes a living meditation. So does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, so I will conclude this session with a quote from Master Eckhart. It is a beautiful line. It says, "There is a huge silence inside each of us that beckons us into itself. And the recovery of our own silence can begin to teach us the language of heaven." So this silence becomes, every moment spent in silence becomes an opportunity for the love to flower. And without love, there can never be a true understanding. And that love does not depend on the external circumstances. It remains intact, irrespective of what is happening on the outside. Because that love is not limited. That love is unlimited, eternal. And it is our place of complete restfulness and calm, which is what we really are. So I think on that note, we will end this session. Thank you for joining.